Have you ever wanted to change something in your marriage or in your family situation, but you weren't sure how to bring it up without starting an argument with your spouse or maybe someone else in your family? Maybe you've wanted more affection, more help around the house, or maybe just to have evenings a little more calm. Well, the way we bring things up matters. It's like turning the volume knob on a radio. You don't go from 0 to 10, you turn it up slowly until you get to the desired volume. Well, in this video, I want to teach you a 4-step progression that you can use to bring up things that you'd like to see changed. This progression is going to help you build connection instead of creating conflict. And I want to show you how to make a suggestion, express a wish, make a request, and if necessary, set a healthy boundary. Be sure to watch this all the way to the end, as I'm going to give you some specific instructions on how to implement this strategy in your marriage and family right away. Hi, I'm Kelly Dupee, pastor, police chaplain, Christian marriage coach, and author of the book, Turn It Up, How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. So the progression that I just gave you, I give to couples that I coach all the time, and it's a game changer. When you use them in order, you'll protect the intimacy while getting your needs met at the same time. So here's the 4-step progression. The first one is this: start with a suggestion. What's a suggestion? Well, it's a gentle nudge towards a solution. Hey, what if we tried a 20-minute check-in every night after dinner? Or what if Friday night was our date night? You see, those are suggestions. A suggestion invites your spouse into solving the problem with you. It's very collaborative. If that doesn't do the trick, though, move to a wish statement. This is a little bit more direct, but still very soft. This is the softest way to share what's on your heart. I wish we could have more evenings together, or I wish we could have a daily check-in, or I wish we had one night a week that was just for us to go out on a date. Now, here's where many couples get stuck. Instead of expressing a wish, they use the word should. Well, you should help me more around the house, or we should spend more time together. Well, on the surface, this sounds like you're pointing out something good, but the word should often lands as a complaint or even a demand, and it creates pressure and puts your spouse on the defensive. So here's my tip: don't should all over your spouse. Instead, make a wish statement. A wish statement, on the other hand, invites. It shares your heart without blame. Instead of accusing, it says, here's what would bring me joy. Here's what I'd like to do with you. And that's much easier for your spouse to hear because it draws them toward connection instead of pushing them away with complaints. And if you want to improve the communication in your marriage, type guide in the comments or use the link in the description, and I'll send you my free couples communication guide. Well, if a wish isn't enough, use a request. Make it clear and specific. Can we schedule a date night this week? Or would you be willing to put your phone away while we talk? You see, requests are actionable, and they are more direct than either a wish or a suggestion. And they give your spouse something concrete to respond to. You see, because it's a request, it is a question. And because it's a question, the person hearing it has the right or the ability to respond. They can say yes, they can say no, or maybe they can negotiate with you to change it slightly. It's helpful to be specific and also put a time deadline on the request. For example, can you mow the lawn this weekend by dinner time on Sunday? Well, that's very specific. Mow the lawn. And it also has a time deadline. So now it's just not a, well, whenever I get around to it or whenever I'm not busy. Because then at Sunday at dinner time, you can look out the window and see if the lawn's been mowed. And if it hasn't, well, then you have to follow up. But sometimes, especially when your emotional or maybe even physical safety is at stake, you need more than just a request. You need a boundary. A boundary is not a threat. It's a statement of the consequences if their behavior continues. By the way, are these tips helpful? If so, hit the subscribe button now and the bell. Here's what I mean by a boundary regarding maybe your finances. Well, I want us to build our future together. I want us to save more money than we have. But we can't do that if our money is being spent without us talking about it and coming to an agreement. So if that continues, spending money without agreeing on it ahead of time, I'm going to do this. I'm going to separate our accounts and manage just the money that I get separately from yours. So that way we can at least pay our bills. You see, that is a consequence. If you want to manage your money together, then you've got to respond to the request, which is to have agreement beforehand before money is being spent. So you see what it is. It's still a request because your spouse can either say yes or no or negotiate. But if they say no, then there will be a very specific consequence that will be experienced because of that. And I can think of a lot of other situations where boundaries may be necessary. If there's explosive anger, you may say, I want to be close to you, but I can't when you're yelling at me. So the next time you start yelling, I'm going to step out of the room until we can talk calmly. Well, that's a nice request and a specific boundary. If they're calling you names, well, I'm going to leave the room until we can talk to each other with respect. Maybe if they're using their phone too much, okay, you could say that the next time you pick up your phone when we're talking, I'm going to be quiet, or I might just leave the room. Boundaries may also be needed around things like substance abuse, or if there's a trust violation, or even extended family dynamics, relationships with other relatives, if they start harming your relationship. You see what's happening here. In every case, the boundary starts with the desire for connection. This isn't punishment, it's stewardship. It's protecting your relationship and marriage from further harm and creating the conditions for trust to grow again. And a boundary only works when it's clear, calm, and consistently followed through. If you don't follow through, it loses its power. But when you do, it communicates love, self-respect, and a commitment to the health of your relationship. When you need to set a boundary, think it through, write it out, and get some feedback from a friend or a coach like me. Then practice sharing it or role play with someone until you can say it calmly and follow through on the boundary. This progression, a suggestion, a wish, a request, and a boundary, isn't cold or punitive. It's a ladder of intimacy. You start low to preserve connection, and you only climb higher when needed to protect the marriage and your heart. The Bible tells us in James 4:2 that you have not because you ask not. Jesus in Matthew 7:7 said, ask and it will be given to you. It's important that you say something if there's something that you need or want. And like I said, you can either make a wish statement, maybe make a suggestion, or a clear request. Proverbs 15:1, though, tells us that a gentle answer turns away wrath. If you do any of these things, make a suggestion, a wish, a request, or set a boundary when you're emotionally upset, frustrated, or angry, your spouse is probably going to get defensive and the whole thing is going to escalate. Trust me, calm down first. It is that gentle answer that is going to turn away wrath. And you need some help with calming down. Watch my video on how to do that, and I'll put a link in the description. So here's a short exercise you can try this week. Pick one small thing that bothers you, or maybe something that you'd like to see changed, and start by offering a suggestion. If nothing changes, share a wish. If still nothing, make a clear request with a time deadline. If the behavior continues, then set a boundary with a consequence. So let me ask you, what are you going to do to change things in your relationship or marriage this week? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Marriage isn't a game of power. It's a place where we learn to speak honestly, protect one another, and grow closer, even when it's hard. Sometimes protecting that closeness means saying gently and firmly, I want us to strengthen our relationship and be close, but I can't when this happens. So would you please? And then you make a request. Then follow through with a boundary if you need to. Say it with love, mean it with courage, and follow through with consistency. By the way, if you'd like more on how to make a request, I have a video on that too, and I'll put the link in the description for that. May God bless you, and may God bless all your relationships, especially your marriage.